don't know me, my name is Nikki Shorty. I am her life coach, your favorite manifestation and self-care coach. I'm so happy to be back on the block, but this is my first time hosting the block, so I feel real special right now. So thank you guys for having me. I'm loving all that you all do.
Listen, shout out to Simone, your real best friend. Your natural best friend. I'm sorry. We can be best friends. We on the block now. Guess what, Simone?
All the way from the Bronx.
Oh, well, there it is. Ray's Pizza and Dwayne Reed for everybody.
You're always feeding somebody, man.
Look,
hey, man, don't disrespect the Bronx, man.
No disrespect at all. But they got Bojangles in the Bronx.
Hey, man.
They got wings.
Maybe not, but we got some other things.
Well, you show me how you do on your block. We gonna show you how we do on ours.
I got you.
That's an even trade.
Copy.
So tonight, we've got some amazing just guests that's gonna talk to us about how to really get to the money, man. Just really get to the bag, man. Tank, what else we got for him, man?
Well, I mean, I don't know what y'all came here for, but I know I came here for note-taking, of course. Trust me, I already started. We had a pre-meeting to, make sure all the panelists who are amazing tonight, make sure they had everything they needed, make sure we was all on the same accord, matching vibes and energy. And I'm gonna be honest, when we were going over the bios again, I started taking notes early,
Facts.
Valeda's here tonight. She's an idea whisperer. And, I kind of consider myself somewhat of a whisperer also. So, Valeda, let's talk after the block. That's a whisper. That's communication between whisperers. Richard Lancaster is here.
Facts.
Trust me, when I tell you, he has a major note section already, just based. I got. Man, listen.
I think I've joined the wrong Zoom call. Not gonna lie to you.
Nope. That's it. Stay. You already here, Edgar. You might as well stay. Welcome to the block.
Well,
get comfortable.
I'm actually from Margate in the United Kingdom. I was supposed.
Oh, you think we don't celebrate the block in the UK?
We international.
It's the block international. Thank you for being here. And then third, we have Angie from South State Bank. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I didn't know South State Bank existed until recently. I was driving down Sharon Avenue, and I saw South State Bank. So trust me, we in it. Let's go. And I'm also excited. But look, Nikki, this is why I'm really excited about Angie.
Listen, I'm ready to get all the knowledge.
I'm excited because Angie is an alum of the University of Tennessee.
Come on with it.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to Angie, because I went to Johnson C. Smith. But don't worry about it. That's okay. The block connects in different ways. We bring people together. We got Edgar from the UK. Edgar, you still here? Drop a thumbs up in the emojis if you still here.
He left us high and dry, man.
Oh, well, it was good to have you.
He's big gone.
Hey, he might have got excited and went to go tell some of his friends to come back to the block. So that's cool. I'm cool.
We welcome him.
And okay. Yeah. So I'm ready to get to it.
So we can't start off the block without having some kind of trivia. Like, we gotta have some kind of trivia. So we're talking about money. Y'all ready for the first trivia question?
But what they gonna get though?
Hey, man. Tank, tell them what they gonna get, man. He left me. He gone. I can't even tell y'all what y'all gonna get, man, but I'm gonna tell you right now.
We're not doing this tonight. Listen, I'm telling you, I've almost been put on block punishment for offering to pay for people dinner.
We don't got
we
time
ain't
for
doing
that
the dinner.
today. We ain't got time for that
Right.
today. But what you will
Especially
do
after
what?
Oh no,
The money trivia. Y'all will put in the chat the answer. Now, this could range from anything from culture to tonight's topic, which is finance and money. But we need to see some right answers in this chat. And whoever wins, we're going to let y'all know what's going to happen after that. We got some goodies. We got a life coaching session with myself that someone will get. Free session.
Right.
We've got some merch. T-shirt.
Oh yeah. Shout out to
Valeda, one of our esteemed panelists who's got some good merch for us. And Tank will not be offering up any more meals. We don't need you in trouble, okay, bro?
Listen, I got a gift card for some free hugs.
Not doing it.
We're
gonna move on to the first trivia question. So you gotta finish this line. First person can get it. In the Ferrari or Jaguar, switching 4 lanes, with the top down, screaming out, what? Put in the chat.
First person.
Okay, Tia. Oh, wait, Simone. Y'all killing it.
Cali
Y'all
Ferguson.
killing it.
See, we got people from Cali in here.
Cali's in here. Okay. The Bronx is in. She said she wants her merch too.
I mean, that's how we do.
All right, I see all the right answers in here. Hold on. Simone, Tierra,
I'm keeping
Callie.
score.
What happened?
I said I'm keeping score.
Okay, cool. So our second trivia question. What is a share which entitles the holder to a fixed dividend whose payment takes priority over that of common stock dividends? Y'all see this? I will reiterate it. What is a share which entitles the holder to a fixed dividend whose payment takes priority over that of a common stock dividend? Richard, come on through, man. Richard said, I know this stuff. I know this.
Yeah, but fortunately for the rest of the guests on the block, Richard is on the panel tonight, so he is automatically disqualified, or let's say he has advanced to the next round.
Facts.
We're not going to disqualify you, Richard. And Simone, you out. So
they said, come on, Richard. All right, next trivia question. What is in the coop bursting out the roof? I said, what is in the coop bursting out the roof? Come on, man.
I'm glad I'm ineligible for this contest.
Nah. Okay. I can do multiple choice. Is it A, chips and guac? Is it B, Nikes? Is it C, this is for you, Tank, Wingstop? Or is it D, Bands?
Got my answer.
You don't count. Come on, who we got? What we got? Okay. Yo, I don't know. New York in here heavy, man. I ain't gonna even hold you. Tierra in here heavy. Yo, Simone didn't come here to play. She said I came all the way from the Bronx. I ain't come here to lose. I feel you, Simone. Dang.
All right. Okay.
All right.
So, do we have an answer?
The answer is D, bands.
Okay.
That is the answer. That was our last trivia question, man. Give it up for yourself.
So,
let me get spirit fingers. Or because we talk about money, let me get money fingers in the camera for our winners. I like it. I feel it. I feel rich already. I love it. Simone said, give me my merch. She wants what she came here for. But we have great conversation going on tonight. I'm so excited. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and I think we've all been having it over the summer, especially because of everything that has been happening this summer. I don't even feel like we've had a summer, but the mere fact that Black people are looking within our own communities and saying, what can we do? How can we fix it? That's going to be a major conversation that needs to be had. Before we jump in with the panelists really quick, Tank, who won the trivia?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. First question went to Simone. Second question went to Richard.
But he don't count.
He does count. So you can't tell him, man. You can't tell Richard he don't count, especially with the information he's about to share. He counts. Okay, you on the block, you count. Everybody counts on the block. Edgar from the UK, I'm sorry you lost your connection, whatever happened, you count too. Third question went to Simone.
So New York takes it. New York takes it.
I don't know. It was 3 questions. So
Simone, congratulations. You won our trivia all the way from the Bronx. We appreciate you for stopping in and taking the cake and taking the t-shirt while you at it.
Right. So yeah, let's definitely get into the housekeeping rules because we got some things.
Facts.
You ready to do that, Nick? You ready? I know you've been on the block before, but you haven't been on the stoop. It's a difference. You know what I'm saying? There's one place to be on the block. You in VIP now. I gotta tell you how we do it over here. All right, real quick. This is very, very simple. Please, by all means, take as many notes, jot down your information, whatever. But let's just give the panelists our respect and our full undivided attention. Please utilize the chat tonight. Our feature emoji, right, Nikki? Our feature emoji is the money bag. So go ahead and start searching for the money bag. That's your amen for the night. That's your go ahead, girl. Or that's you saying it. However you want to encourage. Drop the money bags in the emoji. Please drop the money bags in the emoji for encouragement. But also, I mean, any of your favorite emojis, but we're going with the money bag tonight because we are definitely talking about all things Black money. Thank you, Simone. I appreciate that support. See, Simone got the emojis popping. Also, let's use this resource for what it is.
Yeah.
So if there are questions, we're going to definitely give an opportunity to allow you to answer or have the guests and panelists answer as many questions as possible. We do have to be mindful of time because these people, as our guests of the block, are also important and we got things to do. Right. So make it an elevator speech. I know you want to get your points off and we appreciate all of that, but get in, let them answer the question. Let's get out. You got anything to add? Anything you want? Anything you expect to receive while being on the block tonight, Nikki?
I'm happy to be here in the midst of the conversation, man, sharing the wealth, sharing the knowledge. No question is a stupid question tonight. I think that's the problem with us. We don't want to ask questions because we don't want to look dumb. But I don't know about you.
Tonight it's a shoot your shot night tonight. Shoot it.
Facts.
Right. And speaking of shooting shots and DMs and post all social media platforms across. We have somebody that came from behind the curtain tonight, Nikki.
Yeah.
Cicely. Yeah. Cicely is here. You know who Cicely is?
Woo.
Cicely is all things social media. There you go. Look at her. She look like money.
Black
really? Really? You think I look like money? Listen, I support it. What's up, everybody? Yes, like you all just heard, my name is Cicely. It's good to be in a number tonight. I got my notebook ready, and I am here real quick just to give you one small announcement or big announcement, I don't know. But I have the privilege of running the social media accounts for the block. And pretty much the publication portion is similar to what we do here at the block. You know, we're all about sharing stories from our community, uplifting our community, you know, being bold, being unapologetic, all of that good stuff. And so I've been on the team for about a month, and we are really trying to get the word out. Woo woo, we're really trying to get the word out. Thank you, Davita. I'm glad you're happy about it. We're trying to get the word out about what we're doing on social. As many of y'all, most of y'all probably know, you know, social media is like bread and butter right now, and that's not going anywhere, but we can't do it without people supporting what we're posting, engaging in what we're doing. It's not easy building a social media presence from the ground up, and I know we got very important people on the Zoom with us tonight. And so I'm gonna ask that you all follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is where we do a lot of our stuff. It's the block _ on all platforms. If you don't see that black logo for the block, that's not us. So just, you know, keep scrolling. But more importantly, during Black Philanthropy Month, this month, while we're all here, we've been doing a campaign called Black My Bread, Black My Bread, Black My Bread. Let me slow it down. I'm from Atlanta, so sometimes it get real country. Black My Bread is pretty much like what we want, the conversation that we're having here. We're trying to get that conversation going online, okay, on social media. And so tonight, if you got a nugget that really sticks out to you, something that you learned and you like, yo, I gotta share this, we're asking you to use the hashtag Black My Bread. But even beyond tonight, we're challenging our followers to buy Black, to give Black, and of course to give back. Black philanthropy is that and then some, as I'm sure we're gonna learn today. And so Black My Bread, whether you tweeting, whether you're on Instagram and your stories, whatever, we're trying to rally our community, especially in Charlotte and even beyond, to expand our reach, to get the word out that our money matters, our time matters, our talent, our businesses matter, all of that, okay? So Black My Bread, anything that sticks out to you, make sure you sharing that, okay? That's all I got. Thank y'all.
Yes, indeed. I would like y'all to make some noise in your living rooms for Cicely. Okay. Slide in her DMs. Black her bread. Black my bread. Okay. Hashtag Black My Bread. Nikki?
Throw it in the chat. All right, really quick, before we get into this session with the panelists, I want to make sure that we kick it over to the Hugh House founders really quick for their intros and to tell you guys why you're here and what this is for those of you that are here for the first time. So I want to kick it over to Hugh House real quick.
What up, everybody? Appreciate you coming on the block tonight. My name is David Daly Arrington. I am a co-founder of Hugh House, producer, recording artist, and just a creative entrepreneur here in the city. So I'm glad you're in the building with us.
Hey, what's going on, good people? My name is Davita Galloway, also founding member of Hugh House. You know, I do a few different things around the city or whatever. Host, speaker, entrepreneur, you know, I just do things. Definitely glad to see your lovely faces this evening. And thanks for bearing with us. You know, I don't know if it's Eventbrite or Zoom, not trying to let us be great, but we here, okay? And we're going to get to the coin. So thank you for being with us and for your patience.
No doubt. How's everybody doing? My name is David Butler. Some folks know me as Dave Has Wings. I'm a creative consultant working in arts, education, and culture, founding member of Hugh House. I also work for the Whitaker Group, where I do community engagement across the country in the men's fashion sneaker space. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you're not familiar with Hugh House, we have two arms. We exist in two ways mainly. On the for-profit side, we are a creative agency working with large companies and organizations, doing diversity, equity, inclusion training. And then on the backs of that, provide marketing services to help them reach communities that they are traditionally disconnected from. You know, it's important for us to make sure that, especially during these times and at all times, that, you know, the folks that we're teaching the message to our people have our best interests at heart with their organization. So that's why we include the diversity piece before doing any marketing with them. The nonprofit side of what we do is what you're experiencing right now. It's the Block. It is our opportunity to bring our creatives together, entrepreneurs of color, Black people, bringing us together, sharing information, sharing knowledge, linking up, providing opportunity and space for conversation in a safe space that reflects your personality and your needs. We have recently, in the last 2 months, extended that into a digital publication. As Cicely was mentioning earlier, you can go to itstheblock.com to check out the work that we've been putting out. It's an editorial platform. We put out about 7 to 10 pieces of content a month. We have a full staff, creative team, editor-in-chief, the whole nine. So we are based in Charlotte, but we're not just focused on Charlotte stories. So if you know anything that's dope that's happening around the country or around the world, let us know. If it has to do with creativity, art, business, and Black people, that's what we are here to do and report on. Thank you guys for tapping in with us tonight. We appreciate you. If you know anybody who's trying to get into the Zoom, feel free to share the information with them, please. We had a little technical difficulty with the email. So if you have anybody asking any questions or anybody's comment or anything, make sure they got the information. And thank you guys. We appreciate you and looking forward to getting some great information tonight. Everybody have a great night.
I'm gonna jump in real quick, everyone, before I pass it back over to Nikki and Tank. I just dropped some grant information in the chat. Everyone, please take a look at that. Copy, paste, do what you need to do. We wanna make sure you get to the money. All right, hosts, have at it.
All right. So as promised, we have our panel full of knowledge waiting for you. If you have questions throughout, you know, this conversation, this community conversation, please feel free to put them in the chat. Tank and I will make sure that we are getting these questions out to the panel because your questions matter. We want to make sure that we get the most out of this time so that you all can take back as much as you need to take back to your respective communities and really Black our own bread. You feel me? Tank, who we got?
All right, get your resources ready. It's that time. How do we do this? So
first, go ahead, Tank.
Who's on the block first? No. Go ahead, Nikki.
First, we have Angie Taylor, who is with us this evening from South State Bank. She is a senior customer service financial rep. And we're going to get all the knowledge from Ms. Angie Taylor. Y'all give it up for Angie Taylor. We got
money bag emojis.
Money bag emojis, drop the money. We got Ms. Valeda Fullwood, who is an award-winning author, a native Carolinian, she's a unicorn all in self. She's a native North Carolinian, and the founding member of the new generation of African-American philanthropists. Drop the money, drop the money, drop the money. And last but certainly not least, we have Richard Lancaster, who serves as the controller for the Carmel Country Club. Y'all, get the money, get the money, get the money, get the money. All right, so we're gonna just jump right into it. And for the panelists, feel free to go and answer as the ancestors gives you the knowledge to impart. I've got my notebook ready. But question number one, what are some of the common financial barriers that you see that's a trend amongst our people?
So for me, in the banking center, in the financial world, what I see most of the time is it's not just systemic, it's also generational, that our kids and our youth aren't taught from the beginning everyday money management and how important it is to be able to budget their own money. I've seen so many kids, 18, 19 years old, when they try to come and get a checking account, they can't even open up a checking account because they've already abused their financial history somewhere else. And when we try to even open an account for them to even entertain the idea of having the relationship with them, we can't even get them in. And so that is one of the biggest barriers that I see with our youth. They're not taught. They're not taught how to manage their money, how to budget their money, the importance of saving their money, and the importance of building a financial relationship.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, financial literacy is a big topic. I mean, you see it discussed, and even, you know, they want to put it in school curriculum. But Angie mentioned, you know, two fundamental things. I mean, budgeting and the use of credit, you know, or the misuse of credit, I really should say. And really, you know, when you look at it, when you're taught at an early age, I sent over some information. One of the things Nikki Giovanni said, if you make $1, save a dime, you know, and just kind of that kind of mindset, you know, and then a little bit later on in the program, I mean, you know, one of the things that, one of the profound things among the many things that Tupac said, but, you know, you're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. I mean, you know, that's, when you think about that, that's what business is about. You know, on a larger scale, the main impediment has been access to capital. And that's a really kind of an interesting problem here in Charlotte. A lot of business people think that the big banks are really the ones to go to. The Wells, the Bank of America's, used to be 3. But, you know, really, when you think about banks like South State, you know, like Mechanics and Farmers, like New Dominion, Paragon, some of the smaller banks are really where our businesses should be going to. But yeah, I think Angie hit it right on the head. That financial literacy is a big deal.
Boom.
So when you talk about the financial literacy piece, because I mean, it's no secret to us. We know that systemically, the educational system, the people that are in charge of telling us, you know, educating us about money and all of these things, they have truly failed us. Someone said it in the chat. It should be part of the curriculum. So where does one start? You know, so thinking about parents that, you know, there have been some marks that were missed. So you look about the generation now who's trying to correct it. Where does one even start to begin to get themselves financially healthy?
I would say, and I've seen that comment, the financial system has failed us, but I got to be brutally honest, we have failed us too at home, because teaching starts at home. You teach your own. So it's always been each one, teach one, reach one. And you got to start with your own babies. You got to educate your own babies. You can't expect to send them somewhere else to learn a lesson that you can't teach them at home. And unfortunately, generational traits it's just proven that we mismanage money. I'm not going to say we mismanage money, but we don't know the value of money because a lot of us haven't been taught what the value of money really is in saving. I would say start small. If you have a child at home, what I did for my daughter, both of my daughters, I have a 28-year-old and one that just went off to college, she's 18. They got allowances. They had no bills to pay. They were allowed to keep half of their money and save half. So they had a custodial savings account, regardless what they got, whether it was a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, allowance at home. They were only allowed to spend half of that money and they had to save it. So a lot of that is starting at home, starting those habits at home so that they can see what that financial picture looks like before you can even send them off and have somebody else educate them about it. So we have to train ourselves first that we are their first teachers. And that's where everybody is missing the mark, because you're depending on the school systems and the financial systems, who some people are, you got to face it, they're just like us, they're there for a job. So it's not going to always be their passion to give back and to educate, especially us. But if we're not doing it at home, we really can't expect somebody else to do it either. And that's where we're kind of missing. There's a huge disconnect when I say generational, because it's just been passed on over and over and over again, and I see it so much.
Yeah.
So what happens if no one, let's say I'm 17, about to go off to college, but no one close to me knows about money? What are first steps then? Because you talk about not being like a product of your environment. Right. I hear that all the time working with youth and young adults.
Yeah, I mean, Angie made a good point. I mean, really, I guess it's two things. I mean, the first thing is education. I mean, there's so much stuff online, but there's nothing like going to the library and getting a book. There's nothing like if your parents have that awareness, is to sit down and go with you to the bank, go into Mechanics and Farmers, or go into whatever bank with them and sit down and fill out the form, but get them to fill out some of the forms. Absolutely. I mean, take them along with it. If it's setting up a brokerage account, going to that office and filling it out or filling it online. I mean, having that. Again, we're going back to education, is teaching, your young ones the value of, saving, the value of having building up a cushion. And here's, here's another thing. If you just simply take a notebook, I have a friend, and this is, kind of her deal. You take a notebook and just write down what you spend each day. Okay, just write every nickel that you spend, write it down. You'd be amazed at the amount of money that you spend and what you spend your money on. And that's really kind of the first step. I mean, even you may kind of be thinking about that. Hey, I only spent $50, today, but when you actually write it down, you get a real good look. Keep your receipts and knock that out. There was another point, and I kind of lost it for a minute. But you were talking about, Nikki, you were saying, well, what if I'm 17 years old? Where do I get it? Again, it's like, you want to go to somebody that has money and try to, have that conversation with them. You'd be surprised, particularly here in the South. There are a lot of families that have intergenerational wealth, that got that wealth, because their parents in the 30s and 40s had it. I mean, I have friends to this day where they have roots in the South, and they were just taught, you hold on to land. And they have done that. Their grandparents bequeathed them land, the grandchildren somehow or another, bonded together. So there's that, there's that knowledge, that education. But Angie is making, she sees it, she sees it up close and personal on the front lines. That basic, handling a checkbook, balancing a checkbook, and trying to minimize credit. You only use credit for things that, advance you.
Gotcha. That's a good point, man. I mean, first of all, a lot of us, and I'm looking at the chat right now, we're talking about how in college, that's where we got like our crash course on like saving and paying bills. And because a lot of us got caught up. I'll be the first to admit, my freshman year at an HBCU, they were lined up at the student union, okay? Express, Gap, Finish, all of them was lined up, and they knew 17 at an HBCU, I'm trying to get fresh. I'm not even thinking about, I don't know about y'all, look, I don't know who I'm talking to. Y'all ain't trying to be real today. I'm gonna be real. I was trying to be fresh, okay, my freshman year. And you learn how to undo all of that stuff your freshman year in college. I want to ask Angie just really quick. I know we were talking about that point where you were saying, you know, yes, there are some things that have failed us, but we have failed ourselves. What can we do within our community where we can start to encourage financial wealth? I know right now, you know, it's a big thing where we're talking about, you know, circulating the black dollar within our communities and that kind of thing. But how can we become a little bit more forward thinking in how we get our own communities to rally around financial fitness?
Knowledge is wealth. So if you have knowledge, it's good to spread it. If it's in your church, in your community, it starts with your family. You know, your nephews, your nieces. Make sure your sisters and brothers are teaching their young. You know, that's how you start. Is you want to start by spreading knowledge, because again, knowledge is priceless, and that's how you give back. You can build on that in so many different ways, because even with my sorority, we have events where we visit churches, we visit domestic violence centers, and we talk to females, we talk to women, we talk to people, our people, about how to clean up their credit, how to, if they haven't been taught, how to start, you know, where to start at. And just like you were saying with that 17-year-old who doesn't know, the most important thing that you will learn about relationships, whether it be family or intimate relationships, your financial relationship is the biggest relationship you're ever going to have. And it's going to be consistent throughout the rest of your life, from the beginning to the end. And if you don't question the relationship you have with your finance, with your bank, the bigger banks, I'm not here to badmouth other banks, but what I can say about smaller banks is we build on relationships because we are smaller, so we can focus on, everybody's not an account number. And when we're getting those young people in that are coming in with their family, we able to sit down and teach them how to go on online banking so they can see what's coming in and out of their account. We're able to give them the knowledge that we have one-on-one. And that is whether it be in our communities, again, whether it be in churches, because, you know, I go to church as well. And on Tuesday night, we would hold meetings, and anybody that wants to come out and talk about cleaning up their credit. You know, people are embarrassed to talk about their finances. And the one thing you don't want to do, you know, you got people out here who portray to have this and they don't want to put it out there that they don't, but in reality, they really need help. And they don't know where to start. And starting is with someone in a banking center, preferably if you know anybody in finance, to build a relationship with them. Build a relationship with them one-on-one so that you're not an account number, you are a person. They know when you have any type of changes in your life. If you look at your financial picture and it looks the same as it did last year, then you got to question why you're still with them. If you don't question why you're still with them, then shame on you, because you wouldn't stay with somebody that wasn't treating you well. Why are you with a bank that's not taking care of you? And I mean, it's all about knowledge.
And this is Valeda, and I just wanted to chime in. I know the opening question, and working in the philanthropy space, I am very conscious of the 401 plus years of wealth extraction and wealth denial in Black communities, which paints the picture that many of us face today. And by the way, I hope somebody is really taking notes, because I don't have my notepad with me. I want to be focused as a panelist, but I need some of those notes and help as well. But I just wanted to acknowledge that I know the economic insecurity and the lack of knowledge that exists in our community is a major barrier. And it's not just one generation or one family, it's 400 plus years that we're up against. And many of us are pushing past it and have success beyond that, but many of us still face that significant barrier. So I think context is really important when we're talking about money and the Black community. And while some of it we can be held accountable for, but an acknowledgement of the circumstances that we as Black people in America face for 400 plus years and face today.
Yeah. There are like 2 or 3 or 4 points I want to make. Angie is hitting it from that banking side. There was, several comments about, when you went to school and, hit up with that consumerism. And this is one thing that I think is important. It is one of the lessons that, I was taught early on is, people ask about, well, how do you get into investing? Okay. Well, the easiest thing to do is take a look around at what you buy. I'm seeing my man David over here, and we might have had this conversation. I coached the AAU for a good while. I remember one coach saying, all the kids want is Nike. I remember when the Jordan shoe first came out, the very first one, and I was like, man, that is the ugliest shoe. But I kept seeing it around all the place. And, that should be, and there was a line in Baby Boy where the mom was pointing to her son and saying, look at you, you ain't wearing nothing but millionaires. Well, that gives you a good idea, a good starting point of where you should be putting some of your money. It's because if you and your friends are all buying whatever and they have stock, and today it's easier to own stock now because you can buy it with no commissions. That's, you ought to be thinking about breaking off some of your money and putting it with, some of these people that, that you regularly buy. I think the other thing, when you talk about, again, the whole thing with consumerism, there was a movie Morgan Freeman played, and it was kind of a critical movie, Driving Miss Daisy. But one of the things that, the butler, I forget his name, but you always saw him, when she went to get a new car and traded the car in, he was always the one to get that car that got traded in, so, he was buying, low and having something that he could would last for a long time. It was just using that spending power to kind of advance your situation. I think the other thing, and I know we're going to probably talk about this a little later, and there were some other questions that came up, but I want to get this out while I'm thinking about it. There's, you all may be familiar with a book called Powernomics by Claude Anderson. Kind of me and my friends, we talk about this a lot, but those concepts in there about building, about Black people building wealth and having influence through ownership, and to be able to have influence through ownership, some real powerful concepts. Claude Anderson has a organization called the Harvest Institute, and it promotes, the kind of concepts that we're talking about now. So I would encourage you all to, to look him up. So I'll stop there. And I don't want to. And Vidalia made a very good point. I mean, we really, everyone, a lot of times we just, when we ask what we wanted, well, we just want people to get out of our way. When everyone talks about our deficiencies, well, we weren't deficient in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We weren't deficient in Rosewood. We weren't deficient in Wilmington, North Carolina. We weren't deficient in Maryland, Marion County, Arkansas. Or a lot of Black cities across, this nation. We built up something, and then, white communities came in and through theft and deceit and violence took it away. So we know what to do. And a lot of those figures that are around know how to, they're still around and able to give some guidance.
Okay, so we have a question from the block. This is from Winston Robinson. Shout out Wilmo. He says, I'm paraphrasing, but financial industries preying on the ambition of unprotected Black people has a long history in this nation. A great example of this is the subprime adjustment mortgage rates of 2018. Can a panel member please speak on historically disenfranchised and vulnerable people now having new access to old systems of capital and not getting scammed? I would like to hear from Valea first.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, so I'll turn it over to the people that work in finance.
That was not your moment to shoot your shot, Valea, but we're gonna let it slide. We're gonna let it slide.
Okay,
Andrew,
so,
you want to go? You?
Yeah. Well, this is what I could suggest that you do. There's a federal regulation that all banking centers, all financial institutions have to give back within the community. So it's called the CRA, Community. Anybody can walk into a financial institution and you can ask for that file. And that way you can see what that bank in that community, where they're invested, who they're investing with, who they're supporting. And if you don't see any of those Black communities in Black areas where they're building up, then you should rethink that relationship with them. But that's the biggest thing that you can do, is to ask for that file. And we have to be able to supply you with that file. It's always on hand. Normally, it's on the internet. A lot of people don't know that it even exists, but it's called the Community Reinvestment Act, and that's what they are putting back in the community, in the area that they're in. So you can ask for that file, and you can see exactly where they're reinvesting at and who they're reinvesting in back in.
Yeah, and as far as, really kind of avoiding the trick bag of predatory lending, this is where you really have to kind of rely on your network. I mean, so again, you got to find those in your network, that are homeowners, that are in the banking industry, Black Chamber of Commerce, Black bankers, the accounting profession. There's the National Association of Black Accountants. There's a chapter here. And there's a wealth of attorneys and the like. And this is, you can do things that don't cost a lot of money. Again, a great place to start, is your public library, and starting there and getting some of the free resources that are available so that you can, make yourself knowledgeable about lending. Plus, as Angie mentioned, I mean, there's especially with homeowning, there's a lot of regulation. And a lot of disclosure. The unfortunate thing is that you get this blizzard of paper when you sign, when you're there to close your home. And, I mean, I've been through it. I mean, you sign 20, 30 forms. I mean, and you're not, what you need is to get that stuff up front and be able to look at it away from that closing table and then go back to the closing table, having gotten some kind of understanding of what you're dealing with.
While we're on the topic of, investing and reinvesting, right? Majority of the people that are on the block are Black business owners. So when you talk about investing, or when you talk about finding that capital, right? What would you suggest to someone who maybe has this great business idea, but they don't have the capital? They don't have an uncle that could break them off with 50K, or, call mom and say, hey, I have this great business idea. Can I get 10,000? What would you say to those business owners that are trying to continuously fund their own projects?
Yeah, well, if you, I kind of go back to the story of, John Johnson, who put together Ebony and Jet, I mean, and he was able to get $500 from his mom, and, she used the furniture as collateral, and then it wasn't, and it took a little while to do that. Sometimes, you can, depending on what it is, you can bootstrap stuff. I mean, if you can get some material on credit, turn that into something, make some sales, you can bootstrap that, that way. but it's important that you start, you know, when you're in business, it's really important that you start to put in some good business practices. And that's what we overlook a lot of times. That's really what hurt a lot of our businesses with this CARES Act. You know, you got to put in, you know, I've had friends say, hey, if you don't have financial statements, you ain't really in business, you know? So you really, you know, you really need to put together some form of income statement, you know, profit and loss statement, you know, cash flow statement, you know, learn, you know, I wouldn't sit here and tell you to, you know, learn accounting, but you really need to learn, you know, some of the terminology, you know, become familiar with that, you know, put that in place. But in terms of, because eventually to get any kind of capital, whether it's, you know, getting financing or getting somebody to invest, you're going to have, you know, those things in place. And those things will really tell you a lot about, you know, what you're really doing in business. But access to capital is the number one thing, you know, number one challenge of, you know, of small business in particular, and Black, you know, or in general, and Black business in particular. So.
Question for you to follow up what you were saying about John Johnson, and we know now the legacy that he left to Lyndon Johnson, right, and whatnot, left to his family and whatnot. But one thing that I did find out on my own research about him, he said there was always a question about why he never went back to his very small and humble roots in Arkansas. What do you tell the person that says, you know what, I gotta get out of where I am in order to be successful, and they also feel like I don't feel the obligation to return to pour back into what made me or what bred me to my success? Is there a answer that says you don't have to go back to your block, but you got to put it back on the block somewhere, somebody's block? You have to pour back into a block.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's an interesting question. You know, you got to think about, Jet magazine was a significant publication. I mean, you know, there was probably very little that happened in the Black community, you know, that wasn't in the Jet, you know? I mean, the whole Hidden Figures. I mean, people say, how come we didn't know about the Hidden Figures? Well, it was in the Jet, you know, it was in either Jet or Ebony. So, you know, from that perspective, I mean, you know, is that a form of giving back? You know, I mean, you know, you can, you know, I mean, that could be debatable, but I think your point is, you know, everyone goes to where there's the opportunity, and, you know, you're trying to maximize that opportunity to the best you can. And, you know, the best example, I mean, look at LeBron James. I mean, you know, LeBron James is significant in Akron, Ohio. I mean, 30 minutes from where I grew up. I mean, he's a force, you know, there. So he, you know, he had the opportunity to, you know, to make that impact. So, you know, it's kind of a, you know, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag type of thing.
Hey, Laleda. Yeah. How do you feel that Black philanthropy and Black businesses, how is that gap, or how should that gap be bridged? Because I feel almost like, you know, I'll take Hugh House, for example. This is an amazing collective of Black entrepreneurs and creatives in Charlotte. But how do we bridge the gap with Black ownership and art meets Black philanthropy?
Right. In my mind, I see, I mean, nonprofits in the philanthropic realm, those are entrepreneurial ventures. I mean, they're based on different models, but it's all about entrepreneurship. So many of the struggles and challenges are the same. And I think I put in the chat a link to a summit that we had kicking off Black Philanthropy Month, recognizing in this extraordinary time that we're experiencing that Black nonprofits are being hit hard, Black businesses are being hit hard. we as Black people need to explore new ways and be innovative and creative about how we aggregate capital, and not to get preoccupied with for-profit and nonprofit, but how do we support nonprofits and for-profits and in creative ways, through philanthropy, conventional philanthropy, through investments and angel investments and venture capital. How can we think more expansively? Because we're all being hit hard and our communities are being devastated by racism and by the impacts of COVID. And so I put it in the link and encourage you to tune in and watch some of the leading people in philanthropy, in health, in business investment, and in social activism participated. We had the kickoff on August 1, then there was a follow-up with leaders in Africa. So the entire summit is a Pan-African conversation, because we've been hit hard wherever we are, whether it's here in the States, in the Caribbean, on the continent, in Latin America, by these, what some call dual pandemics. And I would encourage you to tune in and hear some of those ideas about how we can erase that line to the degree that we can between nonprofit and business, to how we can support our community and our ecosystem, and how we can engage allies in investing in our work.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm literally like, I have so many different ideas and feelings all at the same time. Like a piece of me is just kind of like, while we're undergoing this pandemic, right? We're like right in the midst of it, right in the heart of it. And this is sparking a new side of people. There are people that have lost their jobs that are now in this space of entrepreneurship and are walking through this blindly. So here's how we tie this thing together. I'm painting a picture. So you take someone who knows that they have to get financially fit, right? And they know that, number one, people are losing jobs, people are getting furloughed, things are happening economically, right? They're trying to secure funding. They're trying to tie it all together. So you're talking about how philanthropy and in this realm, right? With your organization that you have founded, how Black philanthropy is stepping up and becoming one of these main pillars. How do we tie this all together? Like, how does this all look holistically if everything is working on one accord? If we're all working together, if we're all getting it, ideally, what does that look like? Big picture.
Yeah, and Nikki, I know that, you know, this time, I mean, it really, it's accelerated stuff, okay? I came in contact with Zoom last year looking, you know, kind of looking to see what we could do with it, okay? Didn't really follow up on it. Now, Zoom is just a part of the lexicon, you know, from that standpoint. I think when you talk about philanthropy, again, this kind of goes back to, you know, all of us, you know, have a nickel to spend. I was on the line with, we did a Zoom with my fraternity. And, you know, I said to the brothers, hey, man, we all got, you know, we all getting our Frederick Douglasses out, you know, beards growing long. I said, but, you know, we haven't been to the barbershop in a while, but go ahead and send your barber, you know, send your barber a down payment, you know, when you eventually get to them. If you're going by, you know, Reggae Central on Central Avenue, you know, drop a dime there. I mean, you know, and just tell them, hey, look, I'm putting something on layaway, you know, go to your small business, you know, or go buy a meal, even though you ain't hungry, but, you know, say, look, you know, hook somebody else up. I mean, that's the philanthropy, you know, because you want them to stay in the game. You know, these are the places that, you know, you frequent, and you want them, you know, to stay in the game, stay on the case. And that's the, you know, and that's the biggest thing with philanthropy. I mean, the biggest opportunity that we have. I don't think I answered your question and how we tie it all together, You know, but I do think that we got to think, you know, for those of us that can, you know, we got to, you know, think, you know, a little bit bigger. For those of us that, you know, are really struggling and in need, you know, we have to be able to hook people up with resources, you know, with people that can help them get resources. I mentioned about the CARES Act. One of the things with the CARES Act that was where we were somewhat at a disadvantage, and Angie, I don't know if you saw this. A lot of our businesses did not have relationships with banks, so they were last in line. A lot of our businesses did not have hadn't filled out tax returns, didn't fill out payroll tax returns, didn't have financial statements, you know, and accountants became superstars in this time, you know. I mean, accounting is always kind of that nerd type thing that was put on the back burner. Now that's put to the front burner. So, you know, it's how do you kind of recover from that, you know, and especially when our businesses are, you know, usually, you know, you kind of fighting from hour to hour, you know, to keep things on, you know, on track. But some kind of way you got to hook up with the people that can get those things done, follow their lead, and bit by bit that'll get you on track.
And Nikki, I would add to that earlier you called on the ancestors, and I think it's an opportunity for us to look back at collective giving and some of the examples that Richard shared on how we can support our nonprofits and our businesses in informal ways, and even with small dollars, just visiting the businesses and contributing during these times, or sending money even if you aren't getting a service. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, and as Black people, we have that long, rich legacy of making a way out of no way. And I think we have to tap into some of those traditions. I mean, our giving circle, and I like to break it down and make it clear that when I talk about philanthropy or Black philanthropy, I'm not just talking about Black people giving or engage in writing checks. I'm talking about a long tradition and heritage of giving that is grounded in liberation, is grounded in power building, and that's our tradition, that's our philanthropy. And so with that history and those examples from the past, plus innovation and creativity that we can bring to it today, tech and access to resources that we didn't have before and institutions we didn't have access to before, that I think we can come together as a community and solve some of these problems, or find creative ways to address the economic downturn and the health challenges and economic challenges our businesses and nonprofits and communities are facing.
Lloyd, a question for you. Now, I know you said that philanthropy is deeper than your pocket.
You got it.
All right. And we also have established that here on the block, there are several successful business owners and entrepreneurs. Yes. Twofold question. The question is, am I providing a sort of philanthropic support for my friends and community by asking those, hey, I just want to pick your brain questions? Because if I work in marketing and I know certain things that could absolutely help you in your startup business, but I work in marketing, this is how I also provide for my family. Am I being a giver and a supporter of your community by offering free advice? Because as Richard said, go stop by your barbershop and give your barber a tip. Well, me and my barber have an amazing relationship. And I feel like, yo, you've been getting free consultations every time I get a haircut, but I've never received a free haircut. So am I being a giver and supporter of the business by saying, you know what, I'll give you what I can for free, but also know that I'm gifting you this information, it ain't just willy-nilly free.
You know, I think you might have heard of what they call the law of reciprocity. You know, where, and Vidalia may be familiar with this, is that, you know, sometimes it's like when you giving over here without really expecting anything in return, you getting over there, something, the Almighty has a way of, kind of saying, hey man, you threw, you did a good turn over here. I'm gonna help you over there. That kind of thing.
I agree. But what I'm asking is I feel like this is a form of currency as well. Not just, I'm gonna hold this information because I got the information. I feel like I'm giving, but I may not be able to write you a check at that point. You know what I'm saying? I may be developing my own situation, or I might have something that I got to take care of at the house. But if I offer this for free, but I get this because I say this because I've heard many people say, well, you ain't trying to help me. And it's like, wait a minute, I've given you the blueprint. I haven't given you the check that comes with the blueprint per se, but I've given you the keys to the check. So That's why I asked the question.
In my book, yes, it all falls under some of the traditions and ways that we give, the reciprocity piece where you can be a benefactor on one front and a beneficiary on another front in the same day. And so people often talk about philanthropy as being and giving time, talent, treasure, and I always like to add truth in terms of telling our stories and our testimony. And so I think sharing your wisdom or know-how or professional expertise with people certainly is. And perhaps as you share it, you can frame it that way. So people see value in it and don't just think you're just talking, but that you're actually being intentional by sharing some of your professional expertise in that moment.
Can I hop in real quick? So I guess sharing a little bit about Hugh House and some of the, I guess, advice we've gotten. And also, I'm real big on knowing how to define these words that we throw around. Again, philanthropy is real big in Charlotte. We talking about it, and I just looked it up real quick. And the beginning of the definition is the desire to promote the welfare of others. And then it talks about generous donations and things of that nature to a good cause. But just that first part, the desire to promote the welfare of others, and bringing it back to a part, something Brandon Neal has advised us on is, hey, I'm glad y'all want to help your community and those in the arts and creative realm, but if y'all ain't got nothing to help them with, what good are you going to do? You know what I mean? So I feel like very much to Nikki's question, like how is all this connected? I feel like, and even to your point or question, Tank, I feel like we are doing our community a service by having thriving businesses and then being able to employ those within our community. So in the same way I see having a successful small business or being an entrepreneur, I'm working in the philanthropy space. You know what I mean? Because this is for the goodwill of my community intentionally. So I think it's very much connected. And I don't know, I wanted to ask, okay, Valeda, Richard, Angie, is like, what do you feel like is most important for our community right now? Philanthropy or having successful and thriving businesses within our community?
I'll jump in on that first. I don't think it's an either or proposition. I think it's all necessary, all part of our eco-culture and system here in Charlotte and among Black people. And I think those lines are blurred in the Black community. And so I think there are things you can bring and offer support in a philanthropic way that doesn't necessarily have to do with financial support. And I think it's both and to the response.
And I'll piggyback off what she said. I think it's a combination of both. I say TMI, that's time, money, and interest. You gotta give time, give the time back to people. Share what you know. Money, if you have money, share that wealth within your community. Share it within your small businesses, small Black businesses. And interest, be interested in somebody other than yourself. That comes from within. Share that interest you have with somebody else. That way, it's TMI. That term I use all the time in our banking center. And you'll hear that in the investment world. That's a term that they use, time, money, and interest. But that's the biggest takeaway that I could give you guys in the community. That's what we need. And that's what we need to consistently share, even if we're not benefiting out of it. You know, my job working in the banking center is to bring in accounts, is to sell loans and sell credit cards. But my passion is to sit here and make sure that we're educated around real money management, everyday money management. And it starts with having that financial relationship within a banking center, within somebody that you can call on that has a knowledge of finance, or somebody. I encourage everybody on this call to reach out to somebody in your banking center. We have jobs because of you. We're employed because of you. So utilize that. You should have a point of contact, not an 800 number, not somebody that you go to. We have this analogy, if it's not broke, you don't fix it. Everything needs normal maintenance to run smoothly. And that's just, I encourage everybody to reach out to their banking center, somebody within that does have the knowledge, and help share some of that. That way you can give that back, what you learn. And if you don't even give it back, at least you have a starting point to where you need to be and where you are financially.
I'm going to agree, and I think I'm going to disagree. But let me just kind of say it this way. Fundamentally, I believe that you can trace the motivations for all behavior back to economics. And business is so tough, is all y'all know. I mean, it's a 25/8 type of thing. Not a 24/7. It's a 25/8. And in order, I think Dali said it. You got to have something to give something. And the reason why you're in business is to serve a customer. You either solving a problem, or you're making their life better in some way. I mean, that if you truly are delivering, that's what you're trying to do. There's a lot of people that got into business and it had nothing, money was not the motivation. They had an interest in something. They were trying to solve a problem. And I would agree, you have to have interest in people. You have to have interest in them, as people, so that, you want to contribute to them. But for us, and I think this has always been a challenge with us as Black-owned businesses, is, the business of business is you got to be about business. And as you're growing your business, as you're successful in your business, as you're reaching your customers, you're going to get those opportunities to give. And you have to, I think you have to be somewhat strategic about how you give. I think, that provides a motivation, because there's a range. I think Q City Metro put a whole list out of Black-owned businesses, Black nonprofits to give to. And, I'd love to be able to, drop a dime on every one of them, okay? But in reality, there's probably about 3 or 4 of them that are working in an area where I have an interest. And that's the kind of, when you start thinking strategically, that's the approach. But I would kind of take the approach. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with the both and, but me, where I sit, I would be putting emphasis on the business first, the economics first, and moving into that philanthropic deal. But you got to have the ownership, you got to have the business that is operating and delivering on time and meeting the needs of its customers, to be able to do the other, to contribute back to our educational institutions, to contribute to, our social organizations, to contribute to our art, our art producers, our creatives, to contribute back to, the causes that you really, feel are important, that advance us as a community.
So can I say something? Oh, go ahead.
You read my whole mind,
is like, please
I was about to call on you, sis, because I was feeling like your spirit was coming through so strong through the chat box, and I felt
I was just typing away. So this is Kaylee. Yeah, no, this is Kaylee, and I'm kind of with Valeda, and Valeda knows me. Valeda's kind of like family for me, and you know, we come from. I'm not that old, but we come from like some old school mountain folk, right? If y'all didn't know, Black people are from the mountains. They are. So it's you know, and it's a divided thing for me because I definitely like cross my T's and dot my I's in the work that I do as a cultural educator, as a storyteller. You know, I've heard other Black people be like, oh, why you gotta, like, you coming with a contract? Why you doing that? You know, that kind of stuff. And I definitely want to be on point. But at the same time, it feels almost like a generational thing as I look at a lot of folks who are very driven by, you know, social media and the way you look, and, you know, everybody's always looking all shiny and stuff, and everything you do, you're almost counting like, ooh, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did. And even though having a Black business is a service always, especially if it's successful, and like Richard said, you know, it's there to serve people. And at the same time, like Richard said, the law of reciprocity really is it's a thing. So when you just give and don't look at who, when, all that kind of stuff, it's going to come back to you. It may not come back in the form of $1 or $18,000 or $1 million or whatever, but it's going to come back because you're sitting here, Nikki, listening to me. And the next time I see you, I'm gonna be like, she gave me her attention. I'm gonna give her mine. I respect her. I'm gonna go to her business. But you don't have to think about that as you're listening, you know what I'm saying? Or me saying like, okay, I'm giving, you know, my views on culture, because that's where I'm seriously a nerd, and like the African diaspora and all this kind of stuff. And if you ask me a question about it, I'm not gonna be over here like, I told Nikki about Afro-Latin dance from such and such and such and such, and she gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be looking to her to, you know, give me something back for that, or that was my way of being a philanthropist. No, that's community. And so I feel like, I think it's just good if we don't totally throw away the whole, like I said, lend me some sugar, I am your neighbor type of thing. Y'all know, you know, 3 Stacks said that, but it's true. Like, we need both of those. We need the old ways, which is like, didn't nobody have nothing, so you need some flour for whatchamacallit, you go to your neighbor and then you make the pie and your neighbor gets some of it. Or the next time around, and you know, y'all did that in college, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have no money, your girl was like, yeah, well, I got your lunch now. And then later but it's not a counting thing. So that's the old school. And then also learning what we're learning financially, you know what I'm saying? So that we can also incorporate the business know-how, the budgeting, the learning how to be at, you know, with banks and understand our credit and all that kind of stuff. I guess I'm with the latest, like a both and you know, I was being a little harsh, but I do think as Black folks in a white nation or a white led nation that set up these systems, all of us, I'm confused a lot of times about where does my culture inform me and help me? And also, how do I get ahead in this system that was not made for me to succeed? But at the same time, like, I think your name is Tank, like Tank said, you know, at the same time, it's like, what is giving back and all that kind of stuff? In my opinion, and part of it is because I come from some old school mountain people, and before that, it was South Carolina, and it was like one mailbox in the whole town. It's like, I don't want to throw away all of that just in order to be shiny like some of these, and it's not just white businesses, there's a lot of shiny Black folks too, but I just want to have a balance. And I feel like when everybody's on the internet all the time, there's not necessarily that total sense of community where you see in the same person all the time. So I see Valeda and she's hooking me up and she's not thinking anything about it. Matter of fact, I think she came over my family's house and got like a stump of wood for something for us. You remember that, Valeda, you and your sister? You know, she wasn't like, they were moving something for my parents, you know what I'm saying, to do an art thing.
It's for, theater production.
That, she ain't thinking about like, oh, I did that for Kaylee, that's philanthropy. That's just community, you know? And so anyway, I'm gonna be quiet because I have a lot of thoughts and they're not all together.
I wanted to speak on something real quick, because what you were saying, Callie, I'm coming from the, let me reach up here through the spiritual realm real quick, because you know I'm the life coach, so I got to bring all this together, how I'm feeling right now.
Woo. I'm down with the woo.
I'm all the woo. So this is the thing. Money is energy. That's what it all boils down to. It's the people that can vibrate on the energy up here, they got all the money. What Martin say, they got all the yams. Tell me how to get to the yams. They got all the yams. You vibrate on the frequency up here, you get everything that's all the way up here. Now, a lot of us—
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. I got to say something about that. There's a lot of people, celebrities, people with money. Energy is horrible. When you spend time with them, when you sit with them, they're sucking up all your energy. They have 8,000 people doing their makeup, doing this kind of stuff. And
they have the audacity,
energy.
But they have the audacity to know that they can get it. That's where a lot of us have the issue at. When we
I feel you. I'm just saying.
When we come from the hood, I came from the hood.
Okay.
I came from the effing hood of Norfolk, Virginia. Okay.
Okay. Word, I feel you.
And a lot of people down here, they're like, what makes me think that I can have that? What makes me think, what is the audacity of me to believe that I can get a PhD or live in a big crib, live in a house, period, drive a car, period, let alone a nice car. So when you talk about the energy, first of all, the energy of Black people has shifted big time, because now we're starting to think about, how do I work with my own people to get this? How do I work with us to push us to something greater, right? So this conversation that we're having, I don't think this is a one and done conversation. No. We're talking about money. There are so many mindsets that have to be broken down and broken into in order for us to even fathom philanthropy, fathom financial.
I'm gonna say one quick thing, because I don't come from the hood. I'm first generation, not from the hood. Right? My parents came from the country tail hood, right? So there was a lot of audacity for their generation. That's the civil rights generation, you know, that kind of stuff. Lots of audacity that they also had to have. And I agree, there's a different experience. I mean, everybody knows that. There's a totally different experience when you come from a household where your parents or parent could pay a mortgage, could even know that they could, you know what I'm saying, they could have that. And at the same time, I think the ghettoization of Black people has cut our spirits down to the point where we think that spiritual wealth is money, and that is not the hood's fault. So I'm gonna be quiet. Nikki, baby, we need to get on the phone.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get all in every part of your DM, and I hate to.
Me too.
We're having this conversation. I think it needs to be had, and I really want to just say really quick, thank you to Hugh House, because you are the epitome, the foundations of community. Davita, Dave, like, these kind of conversations need to happen more, and I think because you guys are the catalyst for this kind of conversation to transition into DMs, inboxes, text messages, and group chats. I praise y'all. Like, because this is a one and done conversation.
House is part of a legacy. When you're talking about we're all trying to figure out how we can get our money with Black folks, that's not new. And so if you want to know a little bit more about even North Carolina, first of all, I know Valeda can tell you. I'm sure Richard can tell you. I got mad examples, you know what I'm saying, even in my family, of how folks were trying to make money, bring in their folks along. And like I said, I'm first generation, not hood. So I got, you know what I'm saying, I got examples of people in the 50s, my grandma in the daggone 1930s and 40s doing stuff to bring other Black folks along as they did what they had to do. So, I think that, again, the ghettoization of Black people makes us get cut off from that memory. And that is not your fault, you know?
I appreciate you, Callie.
No, but
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate you, Callie.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of conversation about this topic, man. We got more in September. When's the next block?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm glad you asked me this because I have that information right here. It's in September for sure. All right, so we got September. Let me get to my notes because y'all know I take notes. So I got text messages coming next September 10th. Put that on your calendar.
I think, you know, here's what I would ask, you know, the question becomes, you know, what are we going to do between now and then, you know, to put some of these, thoughts in process. So, you know, I know that each one of you probably already have some things in process, you know, along this lines. And you're right. Racism is, is such insidious, it's very insidious. It's infectious, it's infected us all. It's created some, and it's been unique to us in the way that it's been practiced on us, that we have a lot to get past, but, most of us, we know better. I mean, we have people in place that can provide us with the tools, to get past it, but it's a conscious thing. It's I'm using this term 25-8, because that's that's where we're at right now with this technology. And you guys you're using, and I cringe when I use that term, you guys, okay? I'm not trying to separate myself, even though, I'm 6.0, but what I'm saying is that you all have, you have taken this technology and you're using it in the best form and fashion to bring people together, to bring ideas together, to bring this energy together, to help us be better and do better. And you keep pushing it. You keep innovating. In a lot of ways, you like Miles Davis. Miles said, hey, I don't listen to my old stuff. I'm pushing forward. I'm trying to create new stuff. And that's the question. What, from, when you got up this morning, you had a plan, you had a strategy, and now you've learned something through the course of this day. And between now and when you get back together again, what things are going to be done? What are you going to do? What practices and habits are you going to put in place so that when you say, hey, I need to go buy a pencil, well, I know I can buy it over there. Or if I need to go buy some plants, I'm going to go down to Miss McCoy's on Beatty's Ford Hardware and I'm going to get that. If I want a picnic table, I'm going to go to Mr. Bolton. He's up there on Beatty's Ford Road or whatever. Or if I'm gonna, if I'm gonna get a book, I know I can get online and go to Busboys and Poets or Mahogany Books or whatever, and and it's all about, it's all about building that community. If I know that, hey, I got a need for something, and I can, go to Dali and say, hey, Dali, where can I get this? Who's in your circle? Educate me. Then you can make that move. So it's as you were stating, it's a mindset, it's a practice, it's a way of life. And we got an opportunity like we've never had before. We got a window that's open, but history tells us that it doesn't stay open but for so long. And the risk that we have, like Nicole Hannah-Jones said, is that, our ass may be too timid. We may not be too bold. We may not be bold enough.
Absolutely. With that being said, this is the opportunity for you first, Richard, since you got the floor, and then we'll go with Valeda and with Angie. If you would, please tell everybody on the block where we can continue this conversation with you using our hashtag for the night, Black My Bread. But we definitely want to continue this conversation. So where can we find you on social media? Richard, you go first.
Okay, I'm usually on Twitter, and that's at AMLYNX, and I'll put it in the chat, 71. That's one place you can catch up with me, or send me something. I'm not on it on a regular basis, but usually I'm kind of referencing some article or something that I put on out there.
Absolutely. All right, Valeda, what do you have? Social media handles. Where can we find you? Email, website?
Yep, I'm on all the platforms for the most part, but you can start at valeda.com and connect there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I'm there. LinkedIn.
There you go. And finally, we will go with Angie.
And with Angie, I have this love-hate relationship with social media, but you can find me, and the best place to find me is going to be my email address at angela.taylor@southstatebank.com. And I'm on Instagram at foreverlaw_.
There you go. Would you also please drop those links in the chat for everybody on the block? Nikki, how you feeling? You okay? Is Nikki here?
Yes.
Did you pass
Sorry,
out? Did you pass out from excitement like I did?
I'm just excited to connect with everybody. I'm loving this conversation. Black My Bread, hashtag Black My Bread. Let's continue this conversation. Let's build. Let's expand community. Let's connect. Let's build something great. September 10th. I'm excited.
September 10th. You know who else I'm excited to hear from? The people that put this whole vision together for my betterment. Hugh House. Where y'all
I
at?
think you done said it all. I mean, we said it all. September 10th is the next block. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. It was a beautiful conversation. Let's be sure to keep the convo going on social using the hashtag Black My Bread. Other than that, fellas, Dave, what you got?
Indeed. Yeah. You'll see that our social media manager, Cicely, just dropped links to all our social. I'm also going to drop a link into your question, Richard. This article on the Block publication lists 3 ways that we want to collectively support during this month. So please tap into that article, and we have ways that we're trying to unify and support on 3 levels. So other than that, it's good to see everybody. Great conversation. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the Block's about. Dave, you got any comments?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite conversations. Thank everybody for coming out. Everybody who made it through the technical difficulty. We thank you guys for being here. I also just wanted to highlight the fact that we don't just bring random people. These is all connections that these are people that we either get advice from as Hugh House or work with directly. So we have business accounts at South State. My personal finances are taken care of at South State. Angie is my point of contact. And, that's when you talk about tangible steps, go see Angie, you know what I'm saying, tomorrow, next week, whatever. And it was a situation kind of like this through my job, how I got in contact with her. And I switched all my finances over there. And, it's been an amazing thing ever since. So much so that I told my business partners, hey, we should definitely check out this institution as we get ready to choose a bank. It's not a Black-owned bank, but they have plenty of Black people that are working there that are going to take care of you and understand your situation. People like Angie, their entire staff over there is great. So it ain't necessarily this ain't no advertisement. This is literally just really who we work with on the day-to-day. I'm constantly emailing her, asking her about random things and asking her for random help. So it's the type of relationship you definitely should have with a financial institution, both business and personal. I would encourage you to find yours. Thank you for everybody coming out tonight. Y'all have a great night, and looking forward to continue conversation on the hashtag. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.